What's up, Taiwan? I'm Liao with 10 minutes of news from your Taiwan and around the world. Prosecutors are seeking a 12-year sentence for an army officer who promised to surrender to Beijing in the event of a Chinese invasion. Colonel Xiang De-en received monthly bribes from China beginning in 2019. By January of this year, he had received nearly $18,000 US. Xiang had photographed himself in uniform holding a written pledge of surrender. By the time he was exposed, he had served in the army for 35 years. Prosecutors are also trying Xiang's go-between for Chinese authorities, retired military officer Sao Weiqiang. Investigators in Taiwan's eastern county of Hualien have uncovered almost 1,000 cases of phantom voting, which is a form of election fraud. The cases involve people who registered their addresses in Hualien but do not actually live there. Taiwan's local elections are coming up this Saturday. Reports of vote buying have also increased this election season. Prosecutors are investigating thousands of cases across the country. Authorities are reminding people that voter fraud can be punished with up to 5 years in prison. When it comes to gender equality, Taiwan is one of the most progressive countries in the world, especially in politics. Not only does Taiwan have a female president, more than 40% of the seats in the legislature are also held by women. Bing Wang has more.
If there's one person who's become a symbol of gender equality in Taiwan politics, it's the nation's first female president, Tsai Ing-wen. She was elected in 2016 and went on to win re-election in a landslide in 2020. Time magazine named her one of the most influential people in 2020 and the second most powerful politician in the world in 2021. That's for her efforts to keep China in check.
政府要努力的第二个面向，就是要用尽全力捍卫台湾民主自由的价值跟生活的方式。
Before Tsai, the highest-ranking woman in Taiwanese politics was former Vice President Annette Lu. Like Tsai, she's also from the Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP. She was vice president for 8 years from 2000 to 2008, and she'd been calling for democracy long before the founding of the DPP. Even now, she has continued to be a strong pro-Taiwan voice.
就是说，他必须要放弃武力犯台，也必须拆除飞弹。
Another woman who helped found the DPP is Chen Ju. Chen was one of 8 dissidents, along with Annette Lu, who were arrested during the 1970s in a KMT crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations. Chen served 6 years in prison. Later, she would go on to serve as mayor of Kaohsiung, once Taiwan's second largest city, for 12 years. And now, on the other side of the aisle, we have Hong Xiu-Zhu from the opposition Kuomintang, or the KMT. Hong served as legislator for 26 years and was the first woman to be elected party chair. Her straight-talking style has gotten her the nickname Little Hot Pepper, and in recent years, she made frequent trips to China in hopes of improving ties.
所以这次来也很好，收获很多。 我们觉得能够对于未来两岸和平稳定的一个发展，互相的交流，相信还是能够有很好的一个收获。
Taiwan still has a lot of work to do to reach gender equity in politics, but these trailblazers have made it possible for other women to set their sights on one day holding the highest office in the land. Damon Lin and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
6 former staff members of shuttered Hong Kong news outlet Apple Daily have pleaded guilty to charges of conspiracy. Hong Kong prosecutors had accused them of sedition and colluding with foreign powers. Those charges fall under the city's controversial national security law. Rights groups say the legislation has effectively strangled free speech in Hong Kong. The 6 accused face a maximum sentence of life in prison. Apple Daily was a pro-democracy tabloid that covered the vast protests that gripped Hong Kong from 2019. It published its last edition in June 2021, days after police ransacked its newsroom and arrested its executives. A Taiwanese man famous for staging public protests has died. Kaohsiung made his name by staging one-man protests in view of television news cameras. For years, his pickets for various causes stole the spotlight from big news stories. John Van Trieste looks back at the life of the man Taiwan's media dubbed the Protest King.
Though not an anchor or a reporter, Kaohsiung was a regular fixture on Taiwanese TV news. Ko was locally known as Taiwan's so-called professional protester. When a story broke, he would often appear in front of news cameras, holding a protest sign. Ko passed away earlier this week, aged 66. First gaining attention in the 1990s, Ko's protests took aim at a number of issues, from the fairness of Taiwan's justice system to criticizing politicians. On occasion, he even became the news himself. In 2005, he brought a cow to a protest in front of the presidential office. Authorities confiscated and later euthanized the animal. Ko reacted by directing his anger at then Taipei Mayor Ma Ying-jeou, coining his famous slogan. Outside of his protests, Ko led a turbulent personal life. He unsuccessfully ran for political office several times and was imprisoned for forging documents and defrauding a bank. Ko was also jailed for threatening harm to his child and then wife amid allegations of domestic abuse. Even after his release, Ko continued to defy the prison authorities. In 2021, he succeeded in convincing Taiwan's constitutional court to declare penal labor unconstitutional. Ko retreated from the public spotlight after he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He spent the last years of his life living alone in a van parked in the mountainous outskirts of Taipei. Police found Ko's body in his van on Monday. His sister said he had fallen twice the day before, hitting his head both times. He refused to seek treatment, a decision doctors say may have been fatal.
临床上还蛮常发现，就是有人撞到头，前一开始来检查都没有怎么样，就过了半个月、1个月，就人的反应越来越奇怪，然后再后来追踪检查都发现还是有慢性的脑出血。
As a controversial and unconventional life ends, even now, Ko is able to make the news one last time. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The first batch of black-faced spoonbills to migrate to Taiwan this year has been spotted in the south. The endangered waterbirds make annual migrations up and down Asia, with Taiwan one of the places they winter at. Jaime Ocon has more.
A flock of black-faced spoonbills making themselves at home. This is the first group of these endangered birds to arrive in Taiwan this year. These spoonbills were spotted in the southern city of Tainan last week. The waterbirds usually spend their summers in waters near the Korean peninsula. But in the winter, they migrate further south to chase warmer weather, and Taiwan is one of their destinations. Parks in the south like this are prime resting and feeding spots for the birds. The areas on the outskirts of the city also offer great views of the animals to locals.
我很开心，就是动物跟植物跟人是共生共存的。那我觉得是很棒，因为在都市里面你难得可以看到这么多的生态。
But this hasn't always been the case. Over 3 decades ago, the black-faced spoonbills were nearly driven to extinction. But thanks to conservation efforts, their numbers have begun increasing in recent years.
So as you could see now, from 1990 when there were only around 200, now there are over 6,000. Well, actually, you could find black-faced spoonbill wintering in Taiwan in various places. One of the nice things about Taiwan in general is the ease with which you can be able to see wildlife, and particularly birds, without having to go very far distances.
With the black-faced spoonbill's numbers on the rise, both conservationists and locals are now hopeful these birds will become an even more common sight. Ricky and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of Anime NYC, a 3-day convention for anime fans taking place in New York City. I'm Liao. Take care and see you next time.